Go
How
for
are
it.
you today?
I'm really good. How are you?
Good. Yeah. Yogesh, you worked on diverse scales, which is the most interesting thing for me. You have
Yeah.
touched spaces and structures, but you have also dealt with product scale and also industrial design. How was the whole journey?
It's it's very different for sure. Like we study in college wherein like human is one of the scales that we have to put in the space. And then we are like, okay, this is when we come to product, right? It's like people are gonna hold it.
Right.
So the scale is like very different from there to here. So that has been one of the nice thing that I could relate to. But yeah, it's been quite a nice journey. Amazing. Like so far, it's so good. So let's see.
Right. So tell me, like, how is it different to put a human in a space and design the space around it? The way you just said, product is something which a human's feeling like having, holding,
Yes.
or wearing, right?
Yes.
How does that change? Like, what's the starting point of the design of this?
Back in days, it was something very different. It was mostly necessity for a person. Like, let's
Mm,
say if we have a phone, it was a necessity. Now we have choice. Like, I can make a statement of my personality with the design that I choose.
right.
Let's say if I have an iPhone, it might say something like, okay, I like something very minimal and all those things. If I'm having some phone like, which is like gamer's car phone, it means that I'm more of a tech guy who is like looking for specification and things. So that is the difference when we talk about product in general,
Mm.
how difference it's going to make, right? So yeah,
Also, because you have gone through like architecture to industrial design to also you have done product design,
yeah.
and the kind of life you would have had, it would have shaped the way you think about designing, right? How you specifically design your products, or if you are designing a space itself, right? You
Yes.
will be keen about the products, but you will also be keen about the space at the same time.
Yes.
How does that work for you?
So it's quite challenging to be honest. Like for an architect, it's easier to design a space according to the requirement, but the quality or shape of designs that he's gonna choose, like let's say in this space we are gonna just put in a table. So then we have wide varieties of tables which are available, but depending on the necessity of a client or like the brief from a client, it's gonna change, right? So if I'm putting this is going to make a different statement. If I put a metal table,
Hmm.
it's going to make completely different atmosphere. So that change in material thickness or whatever the variable is going to change the whole space. Like just say we have a glass table here, it's going to be like transparent. The whole space is going to be lit. It feels like there is
So
nothing.
basically, when you're designing the product, you're also looking at the space at every point, right? Is what I see from you,
Yes.
right?
Like because human anthropometry is again like one of the things. Like like when I was in college, people used to say architecture is mother of all the art. Like now I understand why is it like
Right.
important because every object should go in a place, particular space. So let's say about an industrial machine, it goes in an industrial shed. So we have an understanding, okay, industrial shed is like 12 feet minimum height or it goes to 20, 25 feet. But wherein as a residence, it goes like 10 to 15 feet max.
Hmm.
So the scale is very different, but again, the object also should be looked around in the similar kind of a thing.
Right.
So if we are thinking to design for a mass, so that is where we have to realize what is the importance of scale, volume, space
Right.
as a matter,
Right.
which is going to change a
So
lot
does
of
that
perspective.
also change when you're designing, say, a wearable, right? Something which is very personal to this human.
Yeah.
Does that still change, like get affected from the space around of it, or is it just the human and the product now?
It's very simple to understand. Let's say we are sitting here, so we are wearing clothes similar to it. Let's
Yeah.
say we are just going out for some wedding. It's gonna change.
Hmm.
It's gonna change when you are going to party, right? So the
Right.
space which is designed, we are getting something similar out of it. Like let's say if we
Hmm.
are going to a wedding, we need to be like looking very sharp and like a little bit of glitter, the gold jewelries and all those things.
Right.
But in
Right.
an everyday, if I'm going to get something from the supermarket, if I wear those
Right.
jewelries, it's going to be so odd, right?
Right.
So the
Interesting.
spaces and also objects are very related, but it's also a concept of human being.
Hmm.
So let's say if I want to go to a supermarket, I'm going to wear this. This is the standard. But if I'm going to wear something extra, people will start staring at you. But also there is a chance if you want to really make statement, you can do statements. Like example, I don't know if it's going to be like very odd, like Ori.
Yeah.
How is
Yeah.
he changing the scenarios? Like he goes to all these Bollywood parties with just like one tea or whatever it is. Like that is different. He's making his own statements, right? So that's a difference.
Correct. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think from this, what I get to is, or like my perspective about product design has been industrial design gets to product design, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. For me, beyond that, I do not understand. Because you were telling, we were having a talk before that they are distinctly different.
Very, very different.
How is it?
Let's say 20 years back, we were supposed to sell things. Like, let's say I'm going to sell a phone or a television. So, if I'm going to sell a phone, what is required? I just need to have a good display. I need to make phone calls. I need to message. Now, at the present state, it's more complex. So, if I buy a phone paying so much of money, I need to pay more for what?
Right.
Subscriptions inside. What is that more I'm getting? Like it's a choice, right? I want Netflix, or else I'm Prime Video, or like any other third party app. I need to pay for it. So that's again is a product. So this is a product, and the one inside it also is a product. So
More
how do you
complex.
define it? So this is mostly when we are designing an object which is physical, it's come to a conclusion where it's designed by an industrial designer. But when we talk about the apps and other things, it goes into a description of product designing. Product designing is mostly something which is like two-dimensional in a digital world. But in industrial design is something which is like physical object.
Majorly, like if I talk about this mic or I talk about anything which is present here physically, it goes into industrial designing.
Yes, completely.
Oh. So product, because for me, all of this was product designing.
Yeah.
Everything is a smaller
The
product.
definition changed over 1 or 2 decades, like in a period of 1 or 2 decades, it changed
So
completely.
in product designing, I understand industrial designing is a subset of that.
No.
Or it's the other way around.
There is no particular description or a brief for both of this
Okay.
because it's still evolving, right? So for me, if someone asks, like I would definitely say product designing is basically UI UX or website development and those things. But industrial design is something that you physically make, right? Manufactured by someone and like it's physically present. You can feel and hold it. Like product design is something that you experience.
Okay.
So that is like virtual and reality kind of a thing. So yeah, that's the difference.
So in this whole journey, I'm sure you would have explored a lot of materials because I have gone through a portfolio. You definitely
Yeah.
have. Which is one of the most unconventional material to you, and what kind of impact do you think it creates?
So material is something which is like very complex, very, very complex word for me because every day when we are trying to develop a new product or something, we understand, okay, chalo, we want to make this. But we have to, at the end of the day, it comes to the financial part of it. And what is the type of product that we are looking at and how long it should be sustained, right? So, for example, if I'm choosing a metal, so there are different grades in it and there are different physical property of it, heat conductivity and the hardness of it and the finish what we are going to get. All those things matter. Like in an everyday scenario, why gold is something which is like very appealing or silver is appealing because those are something which is easily available and it could be shaped easily. But when we go to industrial level, right, so it is very different. We can't just go and say, okay, chalo, we are going to make something very unique. It's going to take a lot of time and effort. So material is again something which is like very, very difficult. But one of the materials which is very, very interesting to work with is plastic. I work in plastic industry. People blame a lot, saying that okay, chalo, yeah, like I don't want to use plastic anymore because it's causing a lot of environment cutting. So let's talk about what I do, like just to brief out. So we are someone who are into industrial packaging. We are completely into polymer-based packaging industries. So we deal with polymers every day. So again, there are a lot of varieties which we get. Like there are a lot of specification and chemical composition. So plastic is something which, if I wanted to see, is a great material for everyday use. But we as a human being, we don't have tendency to recycle it. Plastic is not bad. anything we litter, either say plastic, paper, or glass, whatever, it's not going to get recycled by itself. We have a notion wherein like, okay, if we put litter paper in the floor, it's gonna like vanish itself. No, it's not gonna vanish. It's gonna say take some time and it's gonna decompose.
Right.
But there are few papers which are laminated with plastic again, which never does.
Right.
Right. So that is like very different topic why people are like not getting educated.
No, but there are scientific papers on decomposition of plastic,
Yeah.
and plastic can be decomposed.
There are new materials which are coming out. Like
Yeah.
say there is plastic which is called
Bio.
polypropylene.
Oh, polypropylene.
Yes, one of the plastic which is commercially used, like all the toothbrush or like whatever we talk about, like the buckets we use or the food containers that we use, it's PP, polypropylene. So there is this material called as PLA.
Yeah.
So it's something which is compostable. So if you put it with your vegetables or something, it get decomposed within 30 to 45 days.
Okay.
It's a beautiful product. No matter what we say, it's a beautiful product.
This is
But
what's used in 3D printing as well, right?
yeah,
PLA.
PLA, ABS, and all
Yeah.
those things. Yeah, but do you think it's sustainable? I don't think so, because everything that we use should be either recycled or reused. That is one of the concept of sustainability, right? So if we are taking a lot of product and we are like reprocessing it to be a shape like container or something, and at the end of the day, we want it to just like decompose it. Where will we get the raw material if we just like keep on using the fuel and everything? So let's say the
Right.
polymer we get is from crude oil, it's like purified and
So
everything.
sustainability is not only about closing the loop, but also how long can one material last,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that we keep using the same thing rather creating new, I think, waste
Yeah.
in the whole cycle.
Yeah.
Because the whole loop itself creates a lot of waste,
Yeah.
right? Than to, like create a new material. Once you've created, you sustain it for a longer period of time.
Yes, yes.
Is what
And
I
also you just don't say like, okay, we are going to put it in a landfill or something. And also people think that paper is something which is very easy to use, but we also should rethink where we are getting the paper from. We have to cut down the trees, and like
Right.
the amount of trees which are cut down is like so bad. And if we want to recycle the paper, we need so much of fresh water, which goes
Right.
again like we don't have water to drink
Exactly.
for
I
ourselves.
think
Right?
it's more about the kind of narratives which have been set around the materials
Yes.
itself, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Plastic has been talked about like this because other materials could come up, I think.
Yes.
Because at some point, plastic was something which could take over every industry, and any packaging could have been done by plastic itself.
Plastic is something which is so easy to manufacture. Like it's so easy. Like if I want to if I decide to make something, okay, let's make a product which is either from plastic or paper. Paper is going to take 1 month for me to define it or like get into manufacturing process. But plastic is something that is very simple. 1 week you're done. You already have the product which is running in the market.
I think from that, there's another part of responsibility that there's not a lot of manufacturing happening again. There has to be a limit set to everything, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's
true.
easier,
Very true. Very true.
right?
Yeah. So the government, where it should come to a place wherein like they should decide on the thickness of the plastic, saying that okay, this is which can be recycled, and this is something which is very fragile. You can't like recycle it again. So that is the set. Government has already put in like we as a people, we are like, chalo yaar, chalta hai. We are just doing that, and also we need to implement a standard process of recycling.
Right.
So if we do that, I think it's going to be a great place for
But
us.
do you think it can really happen? Because people have been talking about recycling for ages now.
I think it is happening in a very slow process. In the manufacturing sector, the government is pushing us to recycle few of the products.
Oh,
Let's
nice.
say we are producing like 150 ton per month. So somewhere around like 30 to 40 tons, we need to recycle it.
This is actually before you start, you sign an agreement or something that you have to do this. Your plant should have a recycling unit, right?
No, in our factory we
Okay.
have like zero waste policy of plastic because
Okay.
every plastic we get like we recycle it again and again.
Nice.
So that is a different concept. But the government is implementing on the manufacturer. It's called as extended producer responsibility. So eventually it's going to be for the restaurant person or anyone who's using a plastic container. He also should support a recycler by paying so much of amount,
Huh,
3
that's the
rupees or
thing,
4
yeah.
rupees per kg. You need to
Okay.
pay the guy. So you get encouraged So eventually, I think it's going to
Nice.
be a great.
So it's not, you don't really have to have the plant by yourself, but you can still like,
Give the money for someone who is going to recycle it.
Nice.
So you get the carbon credit kind of a thing, plastic credit,
oh, nice.
which
That's
is
a
going to
good
be
way to
yeah,
go
yeah,
about it. Now, like just understanding about material and how manufacturing is happening about anything,
yeah.
from innovation to actually the practicality of any kind of design is very important, right? Sometimes we get into innovation so much that we don't really see how anything can be produced at a scale, right? How does that happen? How do you like balance these two things?
That's a great question. To be honest, I think there is a limitation, as you said, like to manufacture something. So when we talk about innovation, what is the innovation which is happening in the present scenario is mostly is product design, not industrial design.
Oh,
So innovation is that phase, innovation is happening. Let's say the recent past, the most innovative thing that happened in a manufacturing sector was 3D printing, right? It's great. It's really great. We have a lot of
I mean, I have my opinions, but yeah.
yeah, but it's like great platform. But can we do it in a large scale?
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
What is the limitation of 3D printing is something that okay, if I'm planning to do a prototype, it's a great place for me to understand the scale, the feel of the material, and all the small details, whatever we want.
Correct.
And when it comes to manufacturability,
Mass production.
it's not going to happen.
No. No, but the thing is, people are not understanding how to use a tech also, right? So if 3D printing is a technology given to you, it doesn't have to be, everything doesn't have to be 3D printed.
You can't.
Now I can make molds and
Yeah.
create hundreds of replicas of it.
Yes.
The way I will use 3D printing is designing something specific, right? So every mold is different. That's when I print everything.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't do it. And I create molds and I create replicas of it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. People need to understand how to use the technology specifically for a problem statement.
Yes.
Right. Now, the moment a tech which is cool sounding is given to somebody, they will just be like, okay, this is it. Nobody is researching beyond saying, what do we do with this? How do we actually create with this? That's
Yeah.
where my problem lies.
I think the 3D printing machine made a lot of sense in the field of aerospace because
Correct.
it used to take a lot of time for some part to be just to understand the research and the analysis part of it. They make a part which is going to take 2 months, 3 months, and they're going to do analysis on the part, and they're like, okay, this is not working. We need to change. Then again, 3 or 4 months is going to happen, and then they decide, okay, this is not happening. So the process is repetitive. But in 3D printing, it's so simple. Like within weeks, you're like done with
Yeah,
everything.
correct. So the time consumption is so low.
Yes. But also, everyday scenario for a commercial object, I don't think 3D printing is very necessary. For prototyping, it's like the biggest
The
change we
biggest.
have done.
I mean, I think I met somebody on EV, like they were designing EV
Yeah.
scooters, the CTO of one of the companies, and he told me that for every part designing, they just 3D printed,
Yes.
right? So, which is very less time, but getting like really good designs.
The chances of changing what you need, right? The requirement of how the vision.
Correct.
The vision is something that we have in our brain, but we can't conceptualize on a product which is
Like how
manufactured.
physically it will look like.
When once it's manufactured, let's say like if I want to do a mold for this cap, it's gonna take like what, like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks minimum, and it's gonna cost me somewhere around like 3-4 lakhs rupees easily. But 3D printing, it's done for 3,000 rupees, and if I
Exactly.
want to change it, it's just like one click away.
That's
Do
a
that.
great point. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something that okay, I can achieve what I want in a short period of time. That is the difference.
Now, when we are exploring and we are innovating, we are being this creative person,
Yeah,
and then the clients come in.
yeah.
What happens?
One of the product that I worked was recently was a coffee machine. So it's one of my friends' father who was working on it. So they had like great machine. It was so nice. I could like feel the like. I was living in Italy, right? So I'll just say about myself. I think we skipped it. So I did my
Yeah.
architecture.
Yeah,
I did my architecture in Siddhaganga Institute of Technology in Tumkur. I did my bachelor's in architecture there. It was a great set of experience for me because I always have been someone who's like keen on design and all of those things. I think architecture is something that is like really, I really enjoy it. Like even in the mornings, if I have like having a cup of coffee, I just go through some quick Arc Daily Cup post or something. Like it's really like nice to enjoy, right?
Right.
So I'm someone who's like really passionate about architecture and everything. But after finishing architecture, I was kind of having no choice to start my own this thing, or else I had to go back to my family business. So I thought, okay, there are really nice concepts in the industrial level which are not explored as a designer. So maybe I can just try it out, is what I felt. So I worked in my industries for 1 year. Man, it's a different word. It's a different word. We fight for 1 paisa, 2 paisa, literally 1 paisa, 2 paisa, because we have like
Man.
lakhs, 2 lakh, 10 lakh, 1 crore ka product which is selling, and then we fight for it. So on 1 paisa into 1,000 rupees is like what, 100 rupees?
Compounded,
No,
it
10,
becomes
10 rupees,
really.
yeah. 10
Yeah.
rupees. 10 paisa, the 10 paisa is 100 rupees, right? So
Right.
just imagine for 1 crore product, it's going to make a lot of difference,
Right.
right? So I was like, dude, this is not happening. There's
Not
no,
right now, maybe.
this is not something that architecture is something related. So I wanted to do something different. So I decided, okay, I can create new products. Since I have the manufacturing unit, everything set up, I know how things work now. So if I go to designing a product, how would it be? Is what I thought. And then I started doing research. And that is the point when I realized there is difference between product and industrial designing.
Right.
So I always chose to go to Italy because Italians products are so nicely designed, so elegant. If you just look at it, you feel like, okay, you want to stare at it, right?
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Italy and I'm gonna do this, that. So I did a lot of research and there were like different universities, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Italy no matter what. I got into Polyme. So in Polyme, it was kind of difficult for us because that's when COVID hit.
Yeah.
So it was like really bad. But our professor and everything were like, okay, if you want to choose to do online or offline, you can choose. So we chose to do offline. So post COVID, we went back to college and we started doing the course again.
Nice. Was this in 2019 you started?
I think it was 20, yeah.
2019 is when COVID hit.
Yeah.
So my master started. Then we
Yeah.
came back. The next year we went back for an offline
Yes,
thing.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. When I went to Italy, I was blown. I was like, dude, these products are like very unique and these are like so good.
Well thought of.
There are a lot of things they have checked and they have done a lot of research and they have cracked a perfect aesthetic value for a product.
Right.
And it was so nice for me. I was like enjoying everyday scenario. Even in walking street, they have like huge glasses in every showroom. You can just see what is there inside the showroom. So nice. And also the comfort is very nice. Even though for us, like biggest comfortable for their design values, the sofas which they have, the comfort is like extremely good.
Right.
So that's the difference.
I was asking you, we design, we innovate, we create.
Yeah.
You've gone through all these processes. You've gone to
Yeah,
Italy.
yeah.
You've gone, seen the most beautiful things out there.
Yes.
And then the client comes in.
Yes.
What happens?
So the coffee machine that I was telling, they had like really nice functionality of it. Everything is sorted out, but they had like very bad design. They realized that I'm thankful that they realized, okay, सब कुछ अच्छा है, कुछ तो खराब है. दिखने में इतना the quality of coffee that they are getting and the machine which is pouring out that good quality is not matching is what they
Right.
felt. And they're like, we were just talking, and then I was like, okay, why not try it? And we started having like a lot of discussion and everything. So that is one thing which I'm happy because the person who I was working with was more technical.
Right.
So he knew what I was telling. So the project completed within 4 months.
That's a lucky case.
I know, right? So 3 or 4 months we are done with the project. We didn't have to
Man.
crack, like we know what we are doing and we were very practical.
Right.
Like, chalo yaar, we had a lot of research about like the buttons that were getting in, right? So we didn't get like the buttons we wanted to put in the machine. So we found an alternative for that and everything. But at the end of the day, came
It
out really
worked out.
nice.
Yeah, I've seen the design. Really
Yeah,
nice.
so like it came out really nice. But I would had an other client who was doing this vacuum robot, right? I didn't get the project somehow. I don't know why and things, but they knew everything. They're like, you design what I say.
So
And
you
I was,
basically do 3D modeling. If you're saying you design,
yeah. So they're like, do something. I was like, if you want me to keep the same thing, you just better go to a graphic designer and paint it in a different color and just like, give it out in the market. Why are you spending so much of time?
and money.
Yeah. So they're like, no, no, we want that. We want this. At the end of the day, they realize I'm not a good match for them. I'm like, okay, no problem. We
Yeah.
ended that there. So it is really important to have someone who's like on a technical side, on a client side, right?
Right.
Technically strong, which would be easier in an
Right.
industrial designing level.
Right. So once a client approaches you, what are the kind of steps you follow after? Because designing is just like the first part, right? Which you're conversing with the client,
Yeah.
understanding what they want. What are the steps you're taking till getting to the final product?
So when a client come to us, he has an idea.
Mm-hmm.
He just has an idea, and he is like, we'll explore. So what we do is we take an idea and we discover what are the other chances we can do, what is the other things we can add on to give the value for the product. And then we have this set of requirements. Then we come to definition, like what is possible within certain money or time or whatever the client is okay with. And then we have design challenges after this. So we have the brief and everything sorted in the first sector, and then we go for design challenges wherein like we need to develop. So we start doing the sketching of the product, how it looks, language, what kind of language do we want to get, and what are the materials that we can use, and the financial part of it, and everything. And once we are done with developing, we go for delivery. Delivery is where we have a lot of things like understanding how the package is shipped. Like, is it something that people can carry in the hand, like, or should be put in a truck? How is that going to happen? Because once we think about all these things, that's when we can put a price tag to it, right?
Right.
If not, if we just say, okay, this is how much it's going to cost for me to produce a product, the packaging and
The
delivery and
it's
everything is going
additional cost.
to additional cost. So that is how a product designing is done ideally.
Right.
But if someone is coming with an idea saying that we have already a product which is going on, we just want to enhance it. So that's when we sit from design challenging. Like we just design and then we sit across and we say, okay, this is what is there. And their expertise is where they know their material. They're like, we want to just do this because we have experience in the industries and we know how the material works. We're like, okay, cool.
Right.
So that is very easier part of it.
Right. Now, in this, one of the phases, as we were talking about 3D printing, is prototyping, right? How does that work? Because for me, I need to, like, whatever I'm designing, say in architecture also, I need to see how it will look, the final thing.
Yes.
On architecture scale, you can't create like one house
Yeah.
and say, okay, this is the prototype, and then we'll create another one. But in terms of product designing, there's freedom, right? Because the scale of it is quite smaller.
Yes.
You can do a prototyping, see how it looks and feel, then
Yes.
experiment, and then get back to what the final design has to be. How do you see the prototyping stages?
So prototyping is very important, as you said. The second part of this is we need to finalize on what kind of technology that we are going to use for manufacturing. So based on that, we can just completely say, okay, 3D printing in metal bending or like plastic injection molded or thermoformed and everything. So depending on that kind of a note, we can just get the 3D printed done. And then we can say, okay, we can show it to the client. We can get an approval. Whereas in architecture, you said, right, we can't just build a house and then say, okay, this is not working out. You
Yeah.
can't demolish
Scratch
it.
this one. New
Yeah.
house.
So need to
How much
understand.
time does it take for you to get through the prototyping stage?
I think once I have the model ready, I usually work in different phases. Wherein like if I have a rectangle which is already there, I just work out the radius of the product. I feel sometimes it's like really nice, sometimes it's not going to work out, and all those things. I don't know if you've seen the iPhone, Apple products. They all have like
These edges. Yeah.
same radius
Correct.
for everything.
The
So that's
fillet.
like very neat and clean. So that's how we as an industrial designer is going to add value to it. So this kind of small details is what 3D print would definitely come in handy for us to
Right.
understand what is really achievable
Right.
or like put in a place.
Can you put like a number to this, saying 1 month of time is given in designing process? I'm sure like it also depends on what kind of design you're doing, what kind of product you have picked. But how much time do you go back and forth from like designing to prototyping?
It goes from 2 weeks to 2 years.
Oh yeah,
No, yeah, because like
it's
sourcing out the material from the right person
that's what
and
I want to understand.
yeah, so like a lot of the times we have some ideas and we see a lot of things on the internet saying that okay, this material is looking good, but we don't have any vendors for it. Just to get sample from them is like so dreadful. And then again, saying that okay, we are going to do something about this material, and then going back if it's available locally, which is good, but when you're creating that premium product, it's going to take a lot of effort.
Right.
And also it's like a little bit challenging. Just imagine like 2 years we are putting an effort, and then like the design trend changes in 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's like pointless if we want to like just push a
Yeah.
product which is not trending in
Correct.
design at that point of time. So it's like really important to work with the material which is available. So that's how you convince the client saying that no sir, this is how the market is going to change in the
Right.
next few years. So it's like a little bit challenging to be honest.
As we are on the topic of trends, I wanted to just have a fun question.
Yeah.
If you wanted one trend to disappear, or one product design to disappear from this planet, what would that be?
I think people are gonna throw chairs at me after saying this, but coming to chairs, there is this one chair which was designed in 1946,
Huh.
which was very different chair at that point of time.
Huh.
At that point of time, injection molding was a very new concept for us, like how 3D printing is at the
Right.
moment. So it was all about injection molding is all about mass manufacturing. So this one chair was designed like Pantheon. It's like by the Italian designer. I don't remember the name, but it's like so neat and nice. Even at this present stage, I would pay like lakhs of rupees just to buy it. So it's like iconic chair. But I think you know this chair, right? So
I think everyone.
yeah, you can
Everyone.
see it from great luxury
yeah.
houses having this to the local chai wala. We are
True,
seeing it, right? So this is one of this chair which is super outdated, but it's selling out crazy. One thing which is I see is patent. They don't have the patent for it, so everyone is copying it, and they're like, "Chalo yaar, we'll produce and we'll
But
get
it's
money out
like
of it
everywhere.
everywhere."
Everywhere.
And it's
And
like
you can't have not seen it like till now. I don't know if you're living in a bubble is when you have not seen this chair.
I think this is a chair where my parents have grown up, and my all my niece and nephews also are growing up to the same chair. I'm like, wow, the design should
And you
evolve
have
at this
small
point.
one for the kids.
Yeah, I know, right?
And it's not designed differently, just scaled down. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing
They're
else.
like they felt like the kids shouldn't be left out. I felt
Right.
like the growing.
Now that I have put you on the spot, if you can tell me one chair, because I remember you being extremely passionate about this one chair,
Yeah.
right? Talk about that. Tell us about that.
So I did my industrial designing ka internship with a person called Fabio Novembre. He's like one of the living legends of Italian design legacy. Great guy, like very friendly and very nice. I really loved working there. So I don't know if you know the brand Natuzzi. Is one of the brands which they work with Day and like a lot of Italian design firms they work with. So there was this one time when he got some new furniture or something. So the office is there, and the office is basically a museum for us. Like every product he
Yeah.
likes, he just get it and put it in the office. I'm like, wow, this is so nice. And there was this one time when he got a new chair and he was trying to tell us what is it about and everything. We went to the upper floor and we were just, that's his office, and we were trying to see what is there and everything. He started telling about his design ideas and all those things. Man, I never thought like a chair could be so nicer and could put an emotion to it. The one of the chairs I really like is Nemo, the chair which has a human face. This thing, it's like so nice. And also the second chair which I really like from Fabio is him and her. So it's basically a Pantheon design, that chair I was talking about, but with the shape of human body.
Hmm.
I
I
mean,
think I've seen
like,
it.
dude, like, just imagine you sitting at home and then, like, you have something like you just go feel the chair and you feel like, okay, this is me.
Hmm.
The object is not object anymore. It's
Right.
like a part
It's
of
an
you.
extension of you.
Yeah. So it's like so nice. Like, design could be so impactful, but you also need a client who is really crazy enough to spend amount and he's like, okay, chalo, yaar, we'll sell it off, and people are not buying it. That's a premium product, but someone who is like a little bit crazy like me would spend like on it, and I would really enjoy it like every day.
Right.
Even though my parents will throw me out of the house for having such kind of share in an Asian subcontinent like this. But yeah, it's like design is crazy. I mean, like there is no point where we could just stop and say it's boring.
Mm-hmm.
It could be innovative, but innovation at the same point when we are talking about a product, digital product, innovation is more of that phase, and design architecture is something which evolves like slowly,
Right.
very slowly.
I think there are some rules for design which we are taught in college where you have to follow. Like imagine either you're going asymmetry or you're going symmetrical, or like there are these things, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is the nose of design? Like at least 3 points, if you can tell in product design, which you should not do. It's like the tight fit jeans.
Yeah.
You understand, right?
Yeah.
Tell me like one or like even if one or two things, what is just no, you shouldn't do in industrial design or product design.
That's a really good question. So this is when I realized when I was in college, we were just designing a product. We're like, let's do this, let's do that, this, that. And professor was like saying no to most of the topics because I didn't realize why. Because he was not saying it out loud. Just like, no, this is not going to manufacture. I'm like, what is not able to manufacture? Like, manufacturing is a very big sector. And then after coming to reality, and when we started designing our product, and when we go to the manufacturer and say, sir, please manufacture this, used to be no. I'm like, why is that you're saying no? And then we started understanding how the machine works. We need to understand how machine works and we need to design according to it. We can't say, I want this product, make a machine for it, because that's going to cost a bomb. So that is one thing that I realize in reality, saying that you need to understand the manufacturability first and then go to the final
Understand
product.
materials, the manufacturing, the process behind of it,
Yes,
not
yes,
just
yes,
design
yes.
something.
I think that's the reason why a lot of products are not innovating, because there is a lack of technicality in the manufacturing sector.
So
Or
designers do not have that much of technical understanding.
they do have, but it depends on the scale. Just imagine, like, so if this is, I'm a designer, I can design this and everything. So this is injection molded again, right? So this is two colors.
What is injection molding?
Injection molding is something, you have a polymer and you have a set of molds and you just inject the plastic, and this is the shape you get. But this is two colors. So this is a different machine. So if I had to design a very basic machine, and Nataraja is one of the great example wherein like 2 rupees, 3 rupees pencil that is like cheaply molded and everything, which is available. That is a different kind of manufacturing again. So if I want to do this, I would just understand how the machine works and everything, right? So if I want to do it in different types, it's not going to work. So injection molding, this happens, and the assembly of this and this happens, and then the refill goes in. How does refill go inside? This is a tight fit. You can't remove it. Somewhere it has to go in. The ink should go in. So how is that going to happen? So for a guy, for a freelancer like me, if I want to design something like this, it's going to take 10 years. Right. So this is where a bigger firm or companies like in Italy, how they do is they just have a client and they come and give out the brief. They have designer, they have engineers, and they have manufacturers, and there are like a lot of peoples under one firm. The process is easy. So when design challenge, that's where we realize the manufacturability going back and forth, right? So for a freelancer like me, it wouldn't be like really nice or easy for me to understand how all these things work, because injection molding is one, there is extrusion, there is thermoforming just in plastic.
Correct.
We have like so many other options.
Yeah.
So I think that's why most of the people who are doing mass manufacturing goes to a bigger firm,
Right.
not a freelancer like me or at any point, because it's going to take a lot of time and effort.
Right. When we're talking about my mass manufacturing, one of the companies which has come to India now is IKEA.
Yeah.
That's changing the ball game over here.
So much,
drastically.
so much, so much. So, so the other day I went to IKEA. So since I'm into polymer-based companies and I know how the conversion works, and like there's this huge tub that I was seeing. For me, that investment is like very huge, like somewhere around like 30-40 lakhs. But the product would be somewhere around like 200 to 300 rupees for me. But they're giving it 150 rupees.
You can't just compete with them.
You can't.
It's impossible.
Can't. Because that's the reason
So
why.
industries are dying now, like manufacturing industries of India.
There is two ways to look at it. So
Okay.
we were talking about the chair, right? So this is what standardly available for us. Now IKEA is coming out with the international design and people are getting used to it. Wow. Luxury is something that you give money for. It's the object that you get in, no matter what the price tag is. IKEA is giving a very good quality and very neat designs for a cheaper price.
I mean, quality we can talk about. but
Yeah. So quality is also very good. Very good. Compared to local market, it's very good. IKEA is taking over the local business, which is like bad at certain point of time, but it's also a great point for us to begin design evolution for a local market.
Correct.
How to compete with IKEA. So how do you do a new
I think
product?
designers are gonna benefit from this.
Yeah, but the problem is designers are not getting that freedom. If I say I want to, if a customer comes and say, "Sir, do a IKEA ka bowl for me," I want to sell it because IKEA is competing in a
Right,
local market.
right.
Then I'll be like, "Sir, we'll do something else." Sir, it's not practical.
No, but if people understand that this is already available and we need to better it,
Yeah.
then I think designers will have some sort of
No.
still not
Customer in India is very different. Very different.
in terms of
For example, if I'm a new startup and I'm saying, okay, chalo, we'll do something new and very different. That's what I did after coming back from Italy. I was like, dude, I have so much of knowledge. I want to do something more than what is the local
Yeah,
market
yeah.
is. I failed.
all of us.
I failed. I failed miserably. So I designed a product which is very unique, and the market didn't accept it. Even though it's like a mass production, they didn't accept it. Like the wholesaler or the distributor didn't want to take a risk because they are not sure if the customer is going to come back for this product or not. But a bigger brand which is doing great and they have a statement and market set, if they do the same product and sell it in the market, they're going to be hit. If IKEA decides they're going to make a new shape of ball, it's going to work great because people trust in IKEA. Has grown so much, But in the local market, if the guy wants to survive, what is he going to do? He's going to take a product and he's going to copy it and then just put it in the market. This is two different sector, right? One is premium and one is economical. Premium sector is going crazy. People were really spending so much of time and money on new product because they want to give out a statement saying that, so like, this space is mine. I want to put something which depicts me, right? So that's where premium product are selling. But in Indian scenario at the moment, people are not spending so much. So maybe in the future, people will be spending and we will be having very good designers coming out in Indian scenarios also. So
Right. Extremely insightful, dude. Like, I love this. I have just one last question.
yeah.
So, we have been talking about freelancers, right? So, what are these steps a freelancer could follow if they want to get into product design or industrial design per se?
Very difficult for a freelancer to survive, but also depending on who is the client he is having. For example, if he is having LG as his client, people wouldn't come to him for a freelancer because they know how struggle is it for a freelancer to get technical details, get technical drawings and things. But if a freelancer is someone who is like working with a smaller firm, it's a great opportunity for them to develop a new product or anything. Like for example, furniture designing is something which is really nice. Industrial design starts from a basic spoon every day that we use
Right.
till the large machineries that we can manufacture. So that's the difference of industrial design. Like industrial designer also can do automobile designing because more technical things, right?
Right.
It's really important to pick one topic which they are really comfortable with and then start their journey. So that would be one of the things, and they should be having more of technical knowledge, or else have someone in their firm who's like technically very skillful.
Understand the technologies around the
Yes,
product itself.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank
Perfect.
you. Really good podcast. Lots of insights.
Thank you so
Thanks a lot
much.
for
Thank
coming.
you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.